Courtroom bombshell: Willow's pregnancy revelation stuns General Hospital. In a shocking turn of events that left the Port Charles courtroom reeling, Willow Corinthos dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. During her highly anticipated trial for the attempted murder of Drew Cain, the embattled mother made a revelation that stunned prosecutors, spectators, and even her own legal team. She is pregnant with Drew's child, and therefore could not possibly be the one who shot him. The dramatic disclosure came at a critical moment in the proceedings, as the prosecution was building its case against Willow with seemingly damning evidence. The announcement sent shockwaves through the courthouse, leaving observers scrambling to process the implications of this stunning twist in one of Port Charles's most controversial cases. The trial that captivated Port Charles. The courtroom was packed to capacity as Willow's trial got underway, with residents of Port Charles eager to witness the proceedings firsthand. The case had already captured the attention of the entire town, given the high-profile nature of the victim and the defendant. Drew Cain, a respected businessman and political figure, had been shot in what investigators initially believed was a targeted attack. When evidence pointed to Willow as the shooter, the community was left divided and searching for answers. Willow entered the courtroom looking composed despite the gravity of the charges against her. The prosecution had built what appeared to be a solid case, complete with forensic evidence that allegedly tied her to the crime scene. Her defense team had been working tirelessly to poke holes in the prosecution's narrative, but few could have predicted the direction the trial would take. As the proceedings unfolded, tension filled the air. Family members and friends sat in the gallery, their faces etched with concern and anticipation. Michael Corinthos, Willow's husband, sat stoically as the prosecution laid out its case. Drew himself, having survived the shooting, was present in the courtroom, his expression unreadable as he watched the woman accused of trying to kill him. The shocking testimony. The pivotal moment came when Willow took the stand in her own defense. Her attorney had carefully prepared her for this moment, knowing that her testimony could make or break the case. The courtroom fell silent as she was sworn in, all eyes fixed on the woman whose fate hung in the balance. Under questioning from her defense attorney, Willow spoke about her relationship with Drew, the circumstances surrounding the shooting, and her whereabouts on the night in question. Her voice was steady, her demeanor calm, as she methodically addressed each point raised by the prosecution. But it was clear that something significant was coming. Then, in a moment that will undoubtedly go down in Port Charles legal history, Willow made her stunning announcement. Speaking directly and clearly, she revealed that she is pregnant with Drew's child. The courtroom erupted in gasps and murmurs, with the judge immediately calling for order. The revelation was explosive not just because of the pregnancy itself, but because of what it implied about the case against her. Willow's logic was straightforward: why would she shoot the father of her unborn child? The pregnancy, she argued, provided her with the strongest possible motive not to harm Drew. If she had wanted to protect this secret, harming Drew would only bring more scrutiny and attention to their relationship. Furthermore, as a pregnant woman concerned about her child's future, the last thing she would do is commit a violent crime that could land her in prison and separate her from her baby. The prosecution scrambles. The revelation caught the prosecution completely off guard. The lead prosecutor, who had been confident in the strength of the case just moments before, was visibly shaken by this development. The entire theory of the crime suddenly seemed to crumble under the weight of this new information. From the prosecution's perspective, motive had always been a crucial element of their case. They had theorized that Willow shot Drew out of anger, fear, or to protect some secret. But the pregnancy revelation turned that theory on its head. If Willow was carrying Drew's child, she would have every reason to want him alive and well, not lying in a hospital bed recovering from gunshot wounds. The prosecutor requested a recess to confer with their team, which the judge granted. During the break, speculation ran wild in the courthouse hallways. Legal experts present in the courtroom began discussing the implications of this revelation. Some argued that the pregnancy actually strengthened Willow's defense significantly, while others cautioned that it didn't necessarily prove her innocence. When court reconvened, the prosecution attempted to regain control of the narrative. They argued that the pregnancy could have been precisely why Willow shot Drew. Perhaps she wanted to eliminate him before the secret came out, or maybe there had been a confrontation about the pregnancy that turned violent. But their arguments seemed increasingly desperate as they tried to reconcile this new information with their existing case. The defense's strategic victory. For Willow's defense team, the revelation was a game-changing moment. While the timing and manner of the disclosure suggested it may have been a carefully planned strategic move, its impact was undeniable. The defense immediately seized upon the pregnancy as evidence of Willow's innocence, weaving it into a broader narrative about a woman being wrongfully accused. The defense attorney pressed the point relentlessly during subsequent questioning. If Willow was pregnant with Drew's child, she would be thinking about her baby's future. She would want Drew alive to potentially be part of that child's life, or at the very least, to provide support. Shooting him would only create more problems, not solve them. Moreover, the defense pointed out that a pregnant woman facing such a traumatic situation would be dealing with hormonal changes, emotional stress, and concerns about her health and her baby's well-being. The idea that such a person would commit a violent crime requiring planning and execution seemed increasingly implausible. The revelation also raised questions about the investigation itself. Why hadn't the police uncovered the pregnancy during their investigation? What other evidence might they have missed? The defense used these questions to cast doubt on the thoroughness and competence of the investigation, suggesting that in their rush to charge Willow, law enforcement had overlooked crucial details. Drew's reaction. All eyes in the courtroom turned to Drew as Willow made her announcement. His reaction was one of the most anticipated aspects of this courtroom drama. Drew's face registered shock, and for a moment, the composed businessman seemed genuinely rattled. Whether this was the first time he was hearing about the pregnancy or simply the first time it was being discussed so publicly remained unclear. Drew's presence in the courtroom became even more complicated after the revelation. As the victim of the shooting, he had every right to want justice. But as the father of Willow's unborn child, his interests suddenly became more complex. Would he continue to support the prosecution's case, or would this news change his perspective on what happened that night? In the moments following the revelation, Drew appeared to be processing the information, his expression moving through various emotions. Some observers noted that he seemed more conflicted than angry, suggesting that perhaps the relationship between Drew and Willow was more complicated than anyone had realized. The implications ripple outward. Beyond the courtroom, the revelation sent shockwaves through Port Charles. Michael Corinthos, Willow's husband, was visibly devastated by the announcement. The pregnancy meant not only that his wife had been unfaithful, but that she had conceived a child with another man. The pain on Michael's face was evident to everyone in the courtroom as he struggled to process this very public humiliation. For the Corinthos family, already dealing with the stress of the trial, this added another layer of complexity and hurt. Questions immediately arose about the future of Michael and Willow's marriage, about custody of their existing children, and about how this revelation would reshape the family dynamics that had already been strained by recent events. Nina Reeves, Willow's mother, had her own complicated reaction to the news. While she wanted to support her daughter through this legal ordeal, the revelation of the affair and pregnancy added moral dimensions that made unconditional support more difficult. Nina's face showed a mixture of concern for Willow and dismay at the situation her daughter found herself in. Throughout Port Charles, residents who had been following the trial closely found themselves reassessing everything they thought they knew about the case. Social media exploded with reactions, theories, and heated debates about what the pregnancy meant for Willow's guilt or innocence. Some saw it as definitive proof that she couldn't have shot Drew, while others argued it could provide an even stronger motive for the shooting. Next, we will learn about the issue of Josslyn Jack stepping into her own spotlight as a budding WSB operative, embracing independence in ways that could reshape her future on the canvas of Port Charles drama. Josslyn Jax has long been seen as the resilient daughter navigating the turbulent waters of her family's legacy, but recent twists reveal her evolving into a force of her own making, much to the delight of longtime viewers who crave character growth amid the chaos. No longer content to linger in the shadows of powerhouses like her mother Carly or the enigmatic Anna Devane, Joss is forging a distinct trajectory in the shadowy world of international espionage, where quick wits and unyielding resolve define success. Picture this: Joss, with her sharp intuition honed from years of personal trials, from romantic heartbreaks to life-altering crises, now channels that energy into covert operations, proving she's not just surviving but thriving in a realm that demands precision and poise. While comparisons to seasoned pros like Anna are inevitable, given the WSB's elite status, Joss's journey feels refreshingly raw. She's building her expertise from the ground up, learning the ropes of surveillance and strategy without the benefit of decades in the field. This transformation isn't without risks, as every mission tests her limits, but it's invigorating to watch her claim agency over her destiny, turning potential vulnerabilities into strengths that could one day rival even the most decorated agents. One of the most compelling aspects of Joss's ascent is her refusal to be cowed by antagonists like Britt Westbourne, whose manipulative tendencies have clashed with Joss's straightforward moral compass in explosive encounters. In a recent undercover stint that pushed boundaries, Joss stood her ground during a tense confrontation at the Metro Court, where Britt attempted to undermine her credibility with sly insinuations and veiled threats, only for Joss to counter with calculated restraint that left Britt seething. This backbone isn't innate, It's forged from Joss's past battles, including her bold decisions in high-stakes situations like the self-defense incident involving Cyrus Renault, where she acted decisively to protect those she loves, showcasing a protective instinct that now extends to her professional life. Should Joss's hidden alliance with the WSB ever surface publicly, the fallout could be catastrophic for Britt, whose own skeletons, from fabricated medical records to shady alliances with figures like her father Faison, would crumble under scrutiny. Imagine the ripple effects. Joss, armed with insider knowledge from joint ops, could dismantle Britt's carefully constructed facade in an instant, exposing alliances that tie back to long-buried Renault family secrets and forcing Britt into a corner where her arrogance becomes her undoing. This dynamic adds layers of intrigue, highlighting Joss's growth from reactive participant to proactive player, ready to wield information as a weapon in the unforgiving game of Port Charles intrigue. Turning to her familial ties, Carly Corinthos's overprotectiveness has always been a double-edged sword for Joss, but it's high time for the formidable businesswoman to recognize her daughter's maturity and the genuine passion Joss has discovered in her covert role. Tricked into the WSB fold through a web of circumstances involving trusted allies like Dex, Joss initially viewed it as a reluctant obligation, yet she's since embraced the adrenaline-fueled challenges, from decoding encrypted messages to navigating double agents in dimly lit safe houses across Europe. Carly's insistence on shielding Joss stems from her own history of loss and betrayal, but denying this evolution ignores how Joss has balanced her studies at PCU with clandestine training sessions that sharpen her tactical skills, all while maintaining a facade of normalcy. The lie Joss maintains about her employment isn't unique in this soapy universe. Recall how Sonny concealed his mob ties for years, or how Elizabeth spun tales to safeguard her kids, yet it strains their bond, creating poignant moments of tension during family dinners where unspoken truths hang heavy. Carly's path to acceptance might involve a heartfelt confrontation in the coming weeks, perhaps triggered by a near-miss mission that brings Joss home battered but unbroken, forcing Carly to confront the reality that her daughter isn't the fragile teen anymore but a capable adult charting her course, lies and all. This mother-daughter arc promises emotional depth, exploring themes of trust and autonomy that resonate deeply with fans invested in the Jax Corinthos lineage. Social media buzz around Joss's storyline has exploded, with ABC General Hospital devotees flooding platforms like X and Reddit to dissect her empowerment and the implications for Port Charles's female dynamics. One viral thread captured the sentiment perfectly: Carly has got to let go, Joss is an adult now, and even if the WSB pulled her in under false pretenses, she's owning it like a boss. The job suits her fire. Echoing that, another fan posted, lying to family? That's just Tuesday in Port Charles. Joss and Carly's rift will mend stronger, especially after that Cyrus takedown. Who's mourning that slimeball? Not Laura, that's for sure, and the show wisely moved on from his toxicity. These reactions underscore a broader appreciation for Joss's agency, with users praising how her arc sidesteps the usual damsel tropes, instead positioning her as a multifaceted heroine blending vulnerability with valor. Delving deeper, forums highlight inventive fan theories, such as Joss potentially recruiting unexpected allies like Trina for a Girls Against the Establishment subplot, where their friendship evolves into a support network for high-risk ops, adding camaraderie to the espionage thriller elements. Yet, not all feedback is glowing. Critics point to narrative inconsistencies that pull them out of the immersion, fueling debates that keep the conversation alive and the show's relevance sharp. The petty squabbles among the younger women, particularly the contrived feud between Joss and Emma Scorpio Drake, are wearing thin on audiences who yearn for solidarity over manufactured conflict in this era of empowered storytelling. Emma, with her own WSB lineage through her mother Anna, could be a natural confidant rather than a rival, sharing tips on evasion tactics or bonding over the isolation of secret lives. Envision a scene where they team up during a stakeout, swapping stories of parental overreach while thwarting a common foe. This forced antagonism feels outdated, especially when contrasted with the richer potential of unity. Fans envision Joss and Emma channeling their energies toward Britt's downfall, perhaps orchestrating a sting operation that exposes her meddling in hospital affairs, blending their skills for a triumphant takedown. Ending these rivalries wouldn't diminish drama but elevate it, allowing the next generation, Joss, Emma, Trina, and even Esme in redemption mode, to form alliances that challenge the old guard, fostering themes of mentorship and mutual respect. Such a shift could introduce fresh arcs, like joint training montages or covert galas where whispers of betrayal unfold, keeping the intrigue fresh while honoring the soap's tradition of evolving relationships. A sticking point for many is the plausibility of Joss's rapid rise in the WSB, given her lack of formal credentials, no college degree in criminology, no police academy grind. just a crash course that seems shorter than a weekend seminar. In the high-stakes world of global security, where agents endure rigorous simulations and psychological evaluations, Joss's accelerated path raises eyebrows, pulling viewers from the fantasy when realism clashes with the plot's momentum. Soap operas thrive on suspension of disbelief, from resurrections to amnesia plots, but this shortcut risks undermining Joss's credibility. Perhaps the writers could retroactively weave in hidden mentorships, like off-screen guidance from Frisco or Mac, detailing intense boot camps involving marksmanship drills in remote facilities or language immersion for international cases. Addressing this head-on might involve an episode exploring the toll of her abbreviated training, with flashbacks to grueling nights poring over case files or physical ordeals that test her endurance, humanizing the process and grounding her expertise. Ultimately, while the unbelievability irks purists, it opens doors for meta-commentary within the narrative, where characters like Anna question the ethics of fast-tracking recruits, enriching the lore without derailing the excitement. As tensions simmer and secrets teeter on the edge of revelation, ABC General Hospital fans won't want to miss a single episode to witness how Joss's bold choices unfold, potentially igniting a cascade of alliances, betrayals, and breakthroughs that redefine the show's landscape for months to come.